Testing. 1, 2, 3. Pop, 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 pop.
Sick.
Follow me, Billie Eilish.
Yep. It looks like a squad tried to land here, but we're gonna beat them.
I see they drop orange mark. Is there others? Let's loot this quick before they rush us. Scope.
I doubt they'll rush us. There's like, what, 3 houses in there? So they won't find shit.
Yeah, but then they have to come this way. So they will rush us.
I have emergency pickup, so we're chilling.
Nice.
You want to use the emergency drop and maybe pick up now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright.
Did you deploy it?
I'll run over to you and activate it.
What?
I'm gonna run over to you and activate it.
Okay. Let's do it.
I think I dropped a bit early.
houses, that's a good sign. Don't shoot at that, there's only some bullets.
I was shooting at the people parachuting.
Yeah. Can you actually hit that?
If I keep trying, maybe. I mean, like, you'll never hit. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne basically said that.
That's not good. Well, we don't want to give away our locations, that's more important.
Well, I already gave it away, so.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're scared, Dark Yishun.
Not scared, strategy.
It's PUBG. Everybody here has a fucking brain size of a pea.
True.
Whether we give up our position or not, we can always outsmart them. And besides, I doubt there's anybody going to be behind us. Except for maybe bots.
That's pretty true, yeah. we want to wrap Beth? Wait, let me see if this plane drops people on us.
Three people. I'm gonna go fight them.
Alright, I'm coming.
Whether you come or not does not matter to me.
I guess we know where they are. You see them? different key.
I actually love this thing. I love this thing. Not because it's flawless or anything. It is far from flawless. But because it's actually interesting. Like, don't forget, the last 2-3 years of Apple product review comments are just, that's boring. Oh, it's just a spec bump. There's nothing really new here. Oh, they hardly change anything or try anything new these days. But this thing is interesting. It's risky, and most of all, it's new. Now, it's actually not fundamentally new. It's a VR headset, but it's new for Apple. And there are a bunch of things in here that are new in a way that only Apple. And just as interesting as this individual product is the possible future that this implies. Like, when you get a first generation product like this, you sort of automatically assume that there are goals for its future, that it'll have another generation and another one after that, and that there is some goal for what this will turn into 10 years down the road. Because we saw what happened with the iPhone and the Mac and the iPad and also
where do you want to go?
First generation products. And on top of all of that, as far as I know, Apple has never released any other first generation product with the word Pro already in the name, which comes with a whole nother set of implications. So, is the world ready for all of this? Let's get into it. So I might be one of the 20 people outside of Apple who has been using the Vision Pro the most over the past 2 weeks. Like, I've spent hours in this thing with both bands, with multiple Macs, in different setups, different rooms, indoors and outdoors, lightness and darkness. There are parts of this thing that are absolutely amazing, unparalleled, best I've ever seen. But the reason it's so interesting is because it's actually new, and there are downfalls and flaws and trade-offs that come alongside all of this stuff. So at the end of the last video, I gave you guys a sort of a preview of my pros and cons list. If you haven't already watched that video, it is definitely worth watching, almost like a prequel to this one. It is a 30-minute monster all about how to use this thing, how it works, what's inside, what it's capable of. And then at the end, I got to my upsides, immersiveness, placement in space, eye tracking and hand control, pass-through, ecosystem, and spatial audio.
Landing over here.
And the downsides, which are weight and comfort.
See a few people across north from us.
Right now, battery life, and price. So, okay, for starters,
one in this building on ping
to fidelity. I think that's more accurate here. I have used a bunch of different VR headsets now, and this Vision Pro has the sharpest, best-looking micro OLED display out of all of them. The size of individual pixels on these displays is 7.5 microns, which means you could fit 64 of them in the size of a single iPhone screen's pixel. You can't see individual pixels. There's no screen door effect. It's awesome. The native refresh rate is 90 Hertz, and it will crank up to 96 Hertz when there's 24 FPS content playing to be an even multiple. And Apple says that they calibrate every single one of these Vision Pro displays from the factory for maximum performance. They're really good, and this is a big reason why this headset is so expensive. But then, and this is going to be a recurring theme here, The Vision Pro runs up against the technology of today not being quite advanced enough to accomplish what they were probably hoping as ideal. So in the case of these screens, right, they're amazing. There are so many pixels, but
Someone's
because
southwest,
the
northwest.
computer inside cannot actually render everything in high resolution all the time at 90 hertz. So instead, it does something clever. It combines the insanely fast eye tracking with what's called foveated rendering, meaning it's only actually rendering in high resolution exactly what you're looking at when you're looking at it. The rest is soft and fuzzy. It works really well because that's exactly how our eyes work. It's really clever. Like, you don't think about it, but the thing that you're looking at the moment is sharp, but then the rest of your peripheral vision is soft and fuzzy, and that's fine. So really now, all of the computing work is being done to track your eyes as fast as possible so that there's no when you look at something and when it becomes sharp. Fun fact, you can actually see this in screen recordings from the Vision Pro. You can see the piece of the screen that I'm looking at.
Found them over there too.
Everything around it, even parts of the second window are fuzzy on purpose.
Nice.
To my eye, that looks totally natural because I'm focusing
Just
on
one
it
yellow.
all the time. I found that you can also screen record with the mode in X-Ray, and that'll make the clips 4K, and it'll render everything in HQ all at once. But every time I did that, it would be choppy and scrolling would be slow and jittery. And I'm thinking that's just because the computer
He might be going for the res too.
rendering everything in high quality all the time. So it
see
looks
him.
like a higher quality recording, but the second I did any scrolling, it didn't look as good, so I just didn't use those recordings as often. So the screens are great. The position tracking of objects in space are great. The eye tracking is incredibly good. The one ding against immersion on the Vision Pro, though, and not a lot of people are talking about this, but it's the field of view. See, the first few times you use this headset,
Same.
you don't even really think about it that much. You're so distracted by all the fun and the newness and how cool it is that your eyes are controlling the thing. But eventually you start to poke around the edges, and it turns out, you know how people are saying it kind of looks like ski goggles from the outside? Well, it also kind of looks like ski goggles from the inside a little bit too. Again, the middle is super sharp and incredibly impressive, but if I can do my best here through a YouTube video, the edges of the headset are a little bit further in than the edges of your vision, and so there's a little bit of like a cone aberration around the outside. So you kind of have this slight feeling of looking into a large funnel. Numbers published by Apple Anywhere about Vision Pro, as far as I can tell, and I kind of think that's on purpose because I've noticed that the Quest 3 has a little wider field of view just looking inside the headset. So if I could change one thing about the Vision Pro to make it more immersive, it would be a wider field of view. No question. Vision Pro has the best pass-through of any headset I've ever used. That much is super clear to me. And weirdly enough, this doesn't actually surprise me either, maybe because this is one of the products that makes it so obvious that we're thinking a lot about the future. Like Apple talks a lot about AR and how they want things to
I'm a
be
flank.
clear and just overlaying things onto your real world. But with today's technology, again, that's not quite possible yet. So instead, they have a VR headset, but they are using the highest quality camera feeds possible and the highest quality displays on the inside possible to let you almost feel like you're looking through it at the real world. So you put this headset on, and the first thing you see is pass-through. I mean, you might as well call it transparency mode. And the sharpness and the colors and the
That's instant.
are all so good that I really don't experience any eye fatigue no matter how long I am in this pass-through mode. Despite my eyes being inches from these screens, I can interact with the real world around me, pick things up and look at them. I can walk around between rooms and not trip on things. I tried having people throw things at me and I could just catch them. I played table tennis successfully with the headset on, which is crazy if you think about what's actually happening here. The total latency, Apple says, is 12 milliseconds. That's from the outside light hitting the outside sensors to the inside image being updated and hitting your eyeballs. That's incredibly fast. And that includes the exposure time of the cameras. That's the specially designed R1 chip at work. But, as Neil from The Verge has put it, it's still cameras and screens. Like, the technology of today isn't magic, so you still have to expose a camera sensor and set ISO and shutter speed, etc. And you can kind of play around with this a bit just by looking around, like at bright objects or high dynamic range environments. And you know what? For the variety of situations I've thrown at this thing, it's handled it very impressively the whole time, mostly prioritizing smoothness and high shutter speeds at the expense of cranking up the ISO and getting way more noise, especially in darker environments. But you can still see stuff like the hand occlusion break sometimes or look really janky when you put your hand in front of something. You can still see objects start to float a little bit more in X, Y, and Z space when you're in much lower lighting as opposed to the usual perfect position. Again, it's the best I've ever seen with today's tech, but it definitely still has a long way to go. So honestly, the ecosystem is, I would say, the strongest argument for a regular person going out and buying today's version of the Vision Pro. Like I every time a big product comes out or whatever, I get like texts from people, oh, hey Marquez, you know, I know you already made like a 30-minute video about it and like unboxed it and did all that, but like what do you really think about the Vision Pro? Like is it good enough? Should I get one? And truthfully, probably not, but I will say that there are a good amount of things that I do specifically look forward to using for it, and most of those things are ecosystem related. So obviously there's the built-in apps, right? iMessage works perfectly just like any iPhone or iPad on your account. Photos are all loaded up in here straight from your iPhone. This is clearly the headset that is best for iPhone users, Apple ecosystem people, but also little things.
I get that drop.
Continuity, so I can copy some text on my Mac or my iPhone and then hit paste and it shows
Let's
up
get
in
it.
Vision Pro. But there's two really impressive ones to me for very different specific reasons. FaceTime and Mac Virtual Display. So FaceTime is the most only Apple could ship this thing I've seen in a long time. From the personas scanned in from the cameras on the front of the headset to the positional tracking and responsiveness of the spatial audio, it's all so well thought out that, you know, once everyone on the call gets past the initial like, what is this? The shock, the moment they first see the virtual version of you, once they first get past that, then it actually kind of slowly gets easier and feels way more like a normal conversation than a normal FaceTime. And it trades the downside of not being able to hold up objects to your camera for a button that can switch to a real-time first-person view that can use both hands instead of one. Does the audio from these speakers still bleed out into the rest of the world, so anything over half volume is incredibly audible to everyone in the room around you? Yeah, but does it also still sound really, really impressive for not actually being real things? Yeah, but the other thing is virtual display. This is my number one favorite feature of the Vision Pro, even over like watching movies and stuff. Now, first of all, yes, you can already do remote desktop viewing on something like the Quest 3. It's great. I love that too. But this one is way more interesting. So this is connecting to your Mac and then intaking and re-rendering a new virtual display for your Mac. Not mirroring what's already being shown by your computer. So you can use your Mac, all its existing controls you're already using with it, but make your new monitor literally as big as you want. And then you can open up simultaneous Vision Pro apps all around that Mac display and place them all around the room wherever you want. Over the walls, floating in midair, pin them to other objects, whatever. You can go nuts. Now, is this perfect? No. There are definitely trade-offs. From even the little things, like not being able to see your keyboard when you're in an immersive environment, to only being able to have a single virtual mouse at a time, to always having to look where you're controlling. I keep telling you guys, there's definitely extra brain cycles involved here. But I do still think that despite all that, this is my number one favorite feature of this Vision Pro. The number one thing that you can buy it for and do that you couldn't do with any other Apple product. I mean, it's the difference between looking like this in a coffee shop or looking like this in a coffee shop. Pick your poison, I guess. I also had a moment where I was using the Vision Pro for a while and I had my Mac and some other monitors around me, and then I took it off and then I went and did something, and then I came back, and before I put the headset back on, I looked up at the wall to where I thought a window was gonna be, but I hadn't, I don't know if that says more about the headset or about me. But speaking of apps, we got to get into the weaknesses. And the app situation on Vision Pro right now is one of them. So this is the home screen of the Vision Pro. It has all of your apps. You can't rearrange them. It's always alphabetical. And this is a developing situation that will record and improve over time. But as of right now, as I record this, on launch day, there are literally 600 apps made for the Vision Pro. And that sounds like a lot at first, but then kind of not a lot. There are also the millions of other apps that are made for the iPad that are compatible with the Vision Pro that will show up, but there's 600 apps made specifically for the Vision Pro. The few apps that are showing up here are pretty incredible, and they all kind of find unique and creative ways to take advantage of the 3D space. And I fully believe the rest of the developers are also kind of still trying to figure out what to do with the 3D space in their own apps, or even if it makes sense to do anything at all beyond the normal iPad app. But at this point right now, today, I honestly believe that there are way more cool ideas about VR and AR experiences than there are actual apps. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some cool apps, and like I said, I've shown some in the past video, there are some more in this video, and there will be more that pop up every day. But have you seen that video of gamifying vacuum cleaning so that you can actually cover your entire floor space like a game? It's not a real app, but if it was, it would be pretty sick, and I would totally use it. Or maybe you've seen that other video of watching an F1 race in Vision Pro. It is so sick. It's like there's a virtual track overlaid into your space so you can keep track of everything happening at once, plus the times and, you know, smaller video feeds of the battles around different points of the track. This looks genuinely better than the actual TV broadcast experience, but it's also not a real app yet. It's just a concept. And I've seen all kinds of other stuff, and I want to watch an NBA game courtside in the Vision Pro too, but that experience doesn't seem to exist yet either. Whatever it is about like Apple jumping into this new space and all the implications of like, oh, okay, the tech is gonna start to get better now, this sort of unlocked this new creative layer for people to dream of new AR and VR experiences, and it will be up to developers to actually make that stuff happen over time with the constraints of today's technology. But as of right now, not a lot of apps. Also, no YouTube app, no Netflix app, there's no Spotify app, there's no TikTok app yet. I hope that Apple can sort of patch up the relationship with these developers, because getting those apps will make this a better product. But as of right now, that is definitely a weakness of this first-gen product. Alright, I'm not the only one who's been saying this, but this is not the most comfortable headset. And I figured out why. So first of all, everyone's mentioned the weight, and it's true. It does weigh like 25% more than a lot of other headsets. Like take the Quest 3, for example, probably the most popular one, familiar to most people. That's mostly plastic, and it weighs 515 grams. So Vision Pro, being made of metal and having all this glass, weighing in at nearly 650 grams, it kind of seems like Apple just didn't care about the weight, but I don't think that's the case. Matter of fact, if you've seen the teardowns, or if you've seen what's inside this little computer here on your face, this is built incredibly efficiently. There's carbon fiber in here, magnesium, all sorts of other lightweight materials. Now there's still lots of obvious heft on it, but 25% more weight shouldn't be the difference between comfortable and like I need to do neck exercises. No, the problem is this strap. This is the solo knit strap. This is the strap that's in all the commercials that are best. This is what's on Apple's website. It's in all the Apple stores because it looks so cool. And I think when Apple was probably first deciding, okay, we're going to get into this VR headset market, how do we differentiate ourselves? We got to reinvent a few things, like the input method and all this stuff. I think they thought the strap had to be one of them, and that's how we got this thing. And I think Dave 2D was spot on in his recent video. VR headsets just kind of all look dumb, and the straps on them are all so universally lame looking. And this strap is just so much cooler. You put it on, it's the quickest to adjust. It messes up your hair the least. It obviously has this little adjustment thing on the outside so you can scroll this wheel and satisfyingly like tighten the cables inside. Like this must have taken a lot of R&D to get this thing to look iconic and actually be functional. This is sick. But when you put it on, you sort of tighten it up against the front of your face, and it's squeezing it up against your face, all of the weight up at the front against basically these two pressure points, right above your eyes
40.
and right on your cheeks. And the more you tighten it to prevent light leak, the more uncomfortable it gets, and it's so
I'm a KQ circle.
for more than about 30, 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, I really do need to take this off. So it's not your neck as much as it's just all the pressure on the front of your face.
Did you already get this care
And
package?
Apple knows this, and that's why they
Negative.
included in the box this second band. This is the dual loop band, and it's super easy to pop this one off and pop this one on. Now, it's not as cool looking as the solo knit band, and it's going to mess up your hair more than the solo knit band, and it's not as easy to adjust as a solo knit band. You're literally like trying to find and attach Velcro blindly at the top of your head. Basically, it's almost as lame looking
On me.
as every other VR headset strap,
Yellow.
but it turns out they all look like this for a reason, and oh my god, is it so much better for wearing it for a long time.
2 on me.
Yeah,
The last episode of the Waveform podcast, you can go subscribe over there. I wore the headset for the entire thing, a 2-hour recording, and I could never have done that with the solo knit band. And that's because it's taking a ton of the pressure off of the front of your face and taking the weight and using the top of your head to support it instead. It's so much better. So if you're gonna just hand the headset to someone to use it for like 5 minutes, the solo knit band is great because it's super quick, doesn't mess up their hair, easy to adjust, boom. But if you plan on using this thing for an extensive period of time, yeah, the dual loop band is 100% the way to go. So I don't know if the eyes on the outside of this headset are actually accomplishing what Apple probably wanted them to accomplish. I think this comes down to what we expect Vision Pro to be in the future. Way down the line. But that's obviously not possible with today's tech. So the closest we can get is a lenticular display that shows your eyes to the outside world, and you can see them. I don't know. At this point, I've tried
Got
my
him.
eyes, but also everyone else here at the studio has also scanned themselves in and tried eyesight, and it's just not very visible. Like, the smooth glass of the headset is so incredibly reflective that there's almost always some light bouncing off it in a way that makes the eyes hard to see. And even if you can see it, it's pretty low resolution thanks to the lenticular display. And the bottom line is it doesn't actually feel like eye contact most of the time, which is very different from what you might have seen in the ads, especially for darker skin tones. I was actually thinking about this, like, this is so far from what I think I expected that I was wondering, does Apple in the next generation Vision Pro double down on eyesight, or do they get rid of it? And I think they have to keep it. Like, it's such an iconic part of the headset that everyone's expecting it to stay, so it's got to be there. But also, this is Vision Pro, and I think that implies that we're going to get Apple Vision at some point down the road, which is like a less expensive version of this. And with that, do you take out eyesight, or does that still appear in the lower end version?
They sound like they're southeast.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, they're parked up there on my blue mark, but they're driving away right now.
At the end of the day, when I'm answering those texts about what do people want to know what I
Copy.
think about Vision Pro,
Coming towards
I
us.
think the Vision Pro is a really expensive, really fun toy. Like, this is an incredibly fun piece of tech to play with, and I am loving watching the pieces of media built specifically for Vision Pro. I am loving playing some of the new early games that are taking advantage of the 3D space and the hand controls. I am loving the idea of getting on a plane and editing videos on my Mac, or watching a movie on a gigantic screen where the person next to me can't see any of what I'm doing. That stuff is all so sick. And if you're actually thinking about buying one, I think you should be able to expect to enjoy all of that stuff too. But definitely still note that all of the symptoms of a first generation product are definitely also still here. It's heavy, it's not a lot of apps, the battery life is meh, and it's expensive. So here's the bigger question. Is the Vision Pro a guaranteed success in the future? Because the first generation iPhone had all of the same downfalls in its generation, and look at where we are now. So also, same with the watch, same with the iPad. But here's the thing. You can't just say the other stuff had problems and it became successful, therefore this one having problems also means it's successful. It doesn't work that way. There has to be something about this that people actually like that makes
It's gotta be the last two
people
teams.
overlook the first generation downfalls. And I think this has it. I think it has honestly, it's kind of just the sci-fi fun nature of like controlling things with your hands, moving windows around the room. The sci-fi movie energy, you've seen it. You're probably already thinking of a certain movie that has that sort of energy. This has that. And the fact that these ideas of what people want to do in VR are so universally
Car here,
well-liked
shark, crowd,
and
fuck.
so cool, that means that there's something here. There's something that people want even in this first generation. Now, will all this new attention on VR headsets in general shine a lot of light on all of the other much cheaper competitors that you should probably buy instead of this one, like the $500 Quest 3? Yeah. Now, will all this new developer attention in this VR AR space bring a lot of way cooler, way more awesome applications that will rapidly improve the value proposition of this $3,500 first gen headset?
Too loud.
Yeah. Should you go out and buy one of these if you've got the money and you saw one or two really cool looking apps that you want to try from the videos? Sure, why not? It's your money. But I'm already very
right here.
excited for the
320.
next generation. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Alright, so do you remember when Elon Musk said that Teslas would soon be able to drive themselves across the entire country, no one in the driver's seat, thanks to full self-driving? I remember that too, but that's not really it. But this demo that I'm going to start right now is as close to that as I can possibly get. I'm going to hit this button on the steering wheel, and I have the navigation set, and this car will now... I will attempt to interrupt this as few times as possible, but as you'll see, it has its strengths and weaknesses, and there are times where I take over steering or do something for the car. The number one reason I've had to do that so far is not safety, it's actually just embarrassment. Like, it just slammed on the brakes seeing that car backing up, and now it has the blinker on for some reason, but it's way too early. It needs to go all the way to the stop sign. Now it's going. And it needs to handle a roundabout. So
Copy.
pedestrians, oncoming cars, there's a lot going on. I have a feeling I'm going to have to interrupt on this roundabout. We'll see. There's a lot happening. But the bread and butter is definitely highway driving. So we'll see it get to that point.
Go down there.
We'll see what it does. So now it's creeping forward, and it has to deal with New Jersey drivers, which is kind of a lot. Visibility, cars moving in and out. I am a little bit nervous. She's waving me on, thanks. But it's also looking at that car, so it might hit the brakes, but it doesn't. Okay, heads to the roundabout, dives right in, hits the brakes for some reason, makes it through. Okay, hits this turn for some reason. Oh, that's the, okay, that's the navigation. And we're off. This is like,
Right here.
there's a lot
He's
going on
low.
here, and I'll talk you through it through this whole uncut.
They're all right here. Ah, link up.
Cut through them too much, and
Behind you, orange.
so right now the speed limit, according to the
It's a third party. It's single.
5 miles an hour, and it can default to up to 50 miles an hour speed limit. So now it's comfortably going 45, totally fine. There's lots of cops like this one that don't seem to mind, so that's cool. But it's also coming up to a turn here, so it's gonna have to
He's to your right. Down the hill.
blinker on and hit that left turn. So it slows down, puts the blinker on. It's got some oncoming traffic, and it also has this car here over the line. But we'll see what happens. New Jersey drivers. Turn. Don't hit anything. Okay. Oh man. Apply a light force. So every once in a while you're going to see it light up the screen in front of me, and it says to apply a light force to the steering wheel. Because the idea is this is just a little bit more than regular traffic-aware cruise control. So it wants to make sure my hand is still on the wheel, so it wants a little bit of firm pressure on the wheel every once in a while. This is a hard merge. This is a highway speed Route 17 entrance ramp. And I'm Not so sure how it's gonna handle this one. Let's give it a chance here. There's also a car really close to the edge. So autopilot's creeping forward and checking for visibility. And I have a feeling it's just gonna wait until they get a red light over there because it says on this screen.
Tonight, U.S. and allied forces launched a new wave of airstrikes in Yemen, hitting multiple sites controlled by Houthi rebels who are backed by Iran. The action follows U.S. bombings in Iraq and Syria, retaliation for the killing of 3 American soldiers at a remote outpost in Jordan last weekend. CBS's Christina Raffini is at the White House tonight and leads us off. Christina.
Good evening, Nikki. The Department of Defense says there was a rocket attack today on a
Anybody got idea where we're going?
in Syria, but there were no injuries.
Nope.
Now that makes at least 167
same here.
attacks by Iranian-backed groups on U.S. forces in Iraq, Syria, and Jordan since October. This video broadcast on Syrian TV reports to show the immediate aftermath of the U.S. strikes against Iran's Revolutionary Guard and militia targets in Iraq and Syria on Friday. The Defense Department says it hit a total of 7 sites, including command and control centers, weapons depots, and drone storage facilities. At his first public appearance since the U.S. retaliated, President Biden visited his campaign headquarters in Wilmington.
Look, I'm feeling good about where we are. I really am.
Where he talked about the battle for the White House, but made no mention of the fight in the Middle East. The U.S. action came 5 days after an Iranian-backed group struck a U.S. military outpost in Jordan, injuring 40
Try this out.
Reserve soldiers Will Rivers, Breonna Moffett, and Kennedy Sanders. But the U.S. did not hit targets inside Iran.
It would be foolish for the United States to be involved in another war in the Middle East.
The Iranian foreign minister today condemned the strikes and said they will lead to, quote, the flames of resistance. But the delayed response has drawn sharp criticism from Republicans, who say it gave Iranian leaders time to leave or go to ground.
We let Iran's leaders hightail it back to Iran from Syria and Iraq. So I suspect we did not kill many key Iranian leaders in these regions.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is on his way back to the Middle East today. It will be his 5th trip to the region since the October 7th attacks. Nikki?
Christina Raffini, thanks.
Tonight, the U.S. carrying out another round of airstrikes in the Middle East, this time hitting targets inside Yemen. Exclusive video carried out tonight's attack, and new video from the first round of attacks. Explosions in Iraq and Syria.
Oh damn, tune team. The right, go left.
New details on what was targeted.
Yeah, land where I'm landing.
Region blast the U.S. While reporters in Iraq and in the U.S. Navy in the region. Plus the high-tech.
There is people right on
Thousands of miles to strike its targets. Did voters turn out in the first real
a lot of them, by the way.
Democrats
Whole
voting
team.
in the first official primary today. We're on the ground in South Carolina. Life-threatening floods forecast in California. Evacuation warnings as 36 million brace for the worst. New details on the moments before a small plane crashed into a mobile home park. The chilling audio.
They went down hard, they're in flames.
NBC News exclusive. The CEO of a train company 1 year after the derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. What he's promising residents and how they feel about him.
You feel welcome in this town?
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. The U.S. launched new airstrikes tonight in the Middle East, the day after the U.S. launched a campaign to strike back at groups that have been targeting Americans and American interests in the region. Today, we got our first images of the destruction from last night's attacks. You can see the explosions in the distance, and you can see the extensive damage up close. The strikes tonight targeting missile sites in Yemen, where Iran-backed militias have been firing on commercial ships. The strikes last night allegedly killing soldiers and civilians across Syria and Iraq, according to officials there. The campaign could last for weeks, a response to the American soldiers killed in Jordan earlier this week and the hundreds of smaller attacks that preceded that. Our reporters are spread out across the region. We begin tonight with Courtney Kuby, who is the only journalist on board the Navy ship that launched today's attack inside Yemen. Courtney?
The U.S. and British military conducted strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen tonight, launching more than 24 aircraft from here, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower in the Red Sea. This is the second night in a row that aircraft from the Eisenhower have targeted the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. Earlier today, the U.S. struck an anti-ship cruise missile in Yemen that they deemed presented an imminent threat. Defense officials say tonight's strikes are not part of Operation Prosperity Guardian, a coalition working to defend ships against the Houthi attacks. U.S. destroyers, including the USS Gravely, also targeted the Houthis tonight, firing Tomahawk missiles. We traveled to the USS Mason today, where they demonstrated the split-second decision-making necessary to shoot down an incoming missile. In this scenario, launching a standard missile to intercept the threat. Despite other strikes by the U.S. and British militaries in recent weeks, the Houthis have continued to target commercial and military ships. And so far tonight, no response from the Houthis.
Courtney Kuby, thank you. We are also getting a first look tonight at the aftermath of those first strikes on targets in Syria and Iraq. Both countries and Iran now blasting the attacks. Keir Simmons reports from Erbil, Iraq.
Explosions in Iraq and Syria overnight. Today, the U.S. assessing the aftermath of Friday night's operation, involving, it said, 85 strikes and 125 precision munitions, while local reports say around 40 were killed. Targets on the Syrian-Iraqi border. Strongholds of Iranian-backed militia accused of carrying out the deadly attack on
Got one up there.
in Jordan. As the bodies of those servicemen and women arrived home, U.S. B-1 bombers were already on their way from the United States, traveling thousands of miles and refueling in flight, hitting
He's right behind the building, can't see.
drone facilities, and Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. There were no strikes inside Iran, but America's unmistakable message directed squarely at the Iranian leadership.
Yep.
Iran condemned the strikes, but notably not bowing to respond. Baghdad's
They're inside that building. Probably more than one, but don't know how.
chief of mission to receive a formal protest. Iraq furiously saying it was not warned. U.S. officials insisting it was.
Seen,
Deepening influence here, evident when tonight we reached a spokesman for an Iranian.
seen only one now.
Tayyip Saeed al-Shuhada.
He went to blue.
We are in a state of war, he tells us. Why is U.S. involvement in Iraq an invasion of sovereignty, but Iran's...
Is he getting closer?
Today, the USA has killed Iraqis, he says, while Iran fought with Iraq against ISIS. He admits the US fought ISIS too. Thank you for your help, he says. It's time to go back home.
Oh, if you guys find an extra sniper, mark it.
Trying to persuade Iran to
I think there's some in these warehouses.
a widening regional conflict. Dual challenges, together a formidable task.
And Keir joins us from Erbil. Keir, how much damage was done in this first retaliatory strike?
And I drop by SLR.
Well, we are waiting for that assessment from the Pentagon, Jose, but tonight there are those criticizing the US decision to signal that these strikes were coming, saying potentially it allowed Iranian operatives to get out of harm's way. Tonight we are told by
That was him shooting, right?
are on the way. Jose?
Keir Simmons in Erbil, Iraq. Thank you. The airstrikes come amid breaking
Yep.
news here in the U.S. Tonight, the polls have closed in South Carolina, the first official Democratic...
Should grab that car and split.
And NBC News now projects President Biden...
Seems a good idea.
Gabe Gutierrez is there with more on Biden's primary victory and voter reaction to the airstrikes.
Tonight in South Carolina, voters are reacting to the president's retaliatory airstrikes.
I approved of the president's decision. I thought they were targeted, which is
I saw
better
him in
than
blue mark.
a blanket type of strike. I think they were targeted to try
And
to
yellow marker?
civilian deaths as well.
And it's kind of that you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. We can't ignore what they did by killing some of our service people But then the last thing we need to do is stir that area up and make it worse.
Not everyone supports the escalation.
We're attacking them, and we're giving
See him
them
right.
cause to attack
One blue.
back.
Two of them.
Yeah, I see him, two of them, yeah.
Great.
Calling the strikes the first stage in a well-thought-out strategic campaign.
When something that kills American troops. And so going against those groups identified as responsible
Nice.
for
Thanks.
the deaths of these 3 reservists from Georgia.
That was a good
Very
kill.
understandable, and that's within the
Was it the whole?
defense powers.
But some Republicans are
Nice.
casting the
That was an instant?
for conducting
Yep.
without congressional approval. Others are taking issue with the
I thought there was people there. That was my grenade.
He waited too long. He telegraphed a weak response over games. Gave our enemies time to withdraw their military leadership.
They got a good amount of mats. Not too much, but just a little. I'm gonna drop a 6X here. If somebody needs it.
President Biden today visiting his campaign headquarters in Delaware.
This is not just a campaign. This is more of a mission.
While here in the South Carolina primary tonight,
South Carolina, go vote today.
NBC News projects he will decisively win over challengers Congressman Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson.
I'm supportive of Biden. Yeah, it's always been supportive of Biden and Obama. He's tried hard to make the country better, and I trust him.
There's an AR suppressor in this box.
South Carolina. Gabe, how's turnout been so far?
I already have my own, so you guys should take the second.
Biden as the incumbent. The Republican primary between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley is expected
Let's get out of here.
to draw more attention
Yep.
this month. Jose?
Be there in a sec.
In Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you. Today, House Republicans announced a new tactic that could complicate a long-negotiated national security bill. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson announced a standalone bill to give Israel nearly $18 billion to fight its war against Hamas. That proposal is separate from the Senate package that goes to 21st Ukraine. Taliban offers to control the humanitarian crisis in California is raising focal attention to deadly flooding along its coast this weekend. 36 million are at risk for flooding. Strong winds and blizzard-like conditions. David Griffin said monitoring officials are warning residents to evacuate.
Up and down the state, they're preparing for heavy rain out in the as you can see so right now the heat and the we don't need no one and all beaches here are now closed. Part of the 101 freeway prone to flooding could be shut down. People waiting in line for hours to fill up sandbags. A backhoe is moving large rocks from the river to help prevent it from overflowing. Rain is expected to start late tonight and could continue until Monday. 3 to 6 inches along the coast, 6 to 12 inches possible in higher elevations, and wind gusts in some areas as high as 60 miles per hour. Jose, officials warning people to get what you need.
Overseas in Chile, deadly out-of-control wildfires are ripping through some of the country's most popular tourist destinations. Nearly 50 people have died in the fires burning near Santiago on Central down south. Yet, but it's summer here. Suffering from heat wave, drought, and high wind conditions. Back here in the West, we have plane crash in Florida. The final moments.
I'm sorry about your stomach. I know my driving is not the best.
A deadly plane crash in Fine River in Clearwater, Florida. 3 victims now identified. Martha Perry and Marie Ellen Pender were inside the mobile home that the pilot Jeffrey Patel's plane crashed into. His desperate calls for help in his final moments, providing clues to what went wrong. After seconds of silence with air traffic control, another pilot. The doomed single-engine plane, a Beechcraft Bonanza B-35, had departed Vero Beach, scheduled to arrive now crashing 3 miles away instead, ending in tragedy.
Just get a heal.
Today, the NTSB investigating the accident, removing the pieces of the plane.
Out of bandage already.
Smoke still rising from the scene 24 hours later.
You good there, Green?
Yeah.
Alright. Thought you did a
Shots to our
backflip
left.
there.
Yeah, I need to heal up. You gotta get in circle.
Yep.
After seconds of silence with air traffic control, another pilot.
This time to go down at an extremely high rate of speed, so they went down hard. They're in flames.
Over there on my marker.
Engine plane, a Beechcraft Bonanza B-35.
Orange, right?
Vero Beach, scheduled to arrive
Yeah, orange. Two of them.
Right.
crashing 3 miles away,
That's not a bot.
ending in
Yeah, he
tragedy.
killed a bot.
Today, the NTSB investigating the accident, removing the pieces of the plane. The
Should we drive it in further or what?
didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, but be careful. There was somebody behind us on 320. Suppress M20.
mobile home, and then the ensuing fire consumed most of the rest.
Cut the shot when we were driving.
Together with the
Yeah, yep, I see him, I see him. I see him, I see him. North.
neighbor Rick Renner took this video.
We gotta hit to the circle too, so make sure you knock them
Yeah.
back.
We can get in the car and split.
Emergency crews rescued neighbors trapped by flames in a storm, working through the night to put out hotspots. But 86-year-old Mark Renner, described by family
Go get him. Yo, if you find a car, let's pop tires so they don't get it. Right in front of us. We could stop here.
Yeah, stop here, stop here, stop here, stop here.
Get them from the backs. We're being sniped.
Yeah.
What do you say to that family who is worried about their long-term health?
Where is he?
Right here. Whole team.
Shaw says he's been here 20 to 30 times since last February's fiery
Whole team running on one
chemical spill. The NTSB
in the field. One behind that tree.
There's one here on the rock to the north.
The controlled explosion of 5 train cars containing hazardous
North.
chemicals leading to
Northeast on orange marker, there's one.
led to evacuations. Kathy Rimby keeps her
Holy
Norfolk
shit.
Southern issued air purifier running as a precaution.
We are, running it daily, and we also.
Careful of the guys on blue.
Norfolk Southern says it's invested more than $100 million in East Palestine. Still, some of Shaw's visits proved more contentious than others.
I'm gonna run to the guy on orange. Let's go get him first. We don't need to leave him on our backs. I'm sure he's gonna fuck us in the ass when we go.
Jar up some feelings. What are you doing to convince those people who still believe that, again, Norfolk Southern hasn't done right by them?
We're keeping our promises each and every day.
You believe that Norfolk Southern has kept their promises?
Where is he?
To what degree, I don't believe
He's in front of me running into
that
zone.
smooth of a transition for anyone. I love
Anna Sevidas, who owns and runs both a gas station and liquor store right next to the train tracks, is part of one of many ongoing lawsuits against the railroad company.
Make sure you don't forget the guys on blue.
Planning to comment on any cases.
They were also running to the circle.
President and business owner Gordon Asher is also part of the suit.
I think I see him.
Yeah, they don't know we're here, so let's just move in.
She's not convinced.
Are they going to be here 15 years when cancer starts forming in clusters, or?
Shaw says yes. They're not working on a long-term health care fund.
Yeah, we're not going to be down by time.
Today, this is what the crash site looks like.
There's a guy on blue mark.
Contamination at the derailment zone is done, but work to restore the site is ongoing. As you can see, these tracks are very much active.
He's dead. Guy on blue mark's dead. Got third party.
As environmental testing continues. The company deployed state-of-the-art tech to inspect trains, but lingering.
I don't know if he was a bot or just a cornered guy.
Can you sit here
If they have
today,
level
1
1
year later,
helmets,
and
probably
confidently
a bot.
say that railroads are safer, at least for Norfolk Southern, than they were a year ago?
Was like level 2.
Norfolk Southern was a safer railroad. I promise to make it.
Yeah, I see him running. You see him running?
The White House has announced
Yellow marker.
will visit East
Nope.
Palestine later this month. His first visit
they're running
since the
to these
derailment. A
buildings.
visit that comes as a bipartisan rail safety bill remains in the balance. Jose?
George Solis, thank you. There's good news tonight about the many people
Make it to here.
we can meet every day who uplift us with their extraordinary.
As long as it covered.
Tonight we're celebrating just one.
Second floor on the patio.
Yep.
Oh, straight ahead, straight ahead, straight ahead. Yellow orange marker. He's in that shack. He's moving left. He's moving left. Two people. Two people.
One more in the shot. Both knocked in the shot.
And celebration.
Being shot off the back. I gotta heal first.
Was that instant?
Who's just retired
No.
the Ruth
Oh, I saw someone
after
here.
nearly 20 years.
The other guy that was here has run away.
Yellow mark. He's shooting at me.
Many return
Yep.
thankful for making them feel special. Calvin's Bob Steff.
Maybe get my chip just in
From the
case.
top. People from 150 to...
Oh.
I got covered though. Pretty good one too.
Like showing us what respect looks like, what it looks like to like truly respect other people. If the world was Alice's corner, it would be the world.
There's a respawn zone in the circle, but there's no way.
When they were singing that song to you, you looked up and pointed up. You remember why?
I was thanking God.
If we can get your chip, the respawn is in a circle. We're gonna hit it there anyway, so...
I got the chip.
You guys wanna try to get his chip?
I already got it.
Nice. Appreciate it. These guys
Good
are
luck,
up there,
guys.
so
I'm rooting for you.
really gonna need it.
And the beginning of a new chapter.
Oh, I can't believe those guys tried to thirst me like that.
With these profound words of wisdom.
They already did.
Yes. Be friends with one another. And I want every last one of y'all to take a journey to be positive. Okay? All of you. Because the world belongs to you guys. And you gotta make a
Ooh, you're about to sneak up on him.
And we wish Miss Alice a happy and healthy retirement. That's NBC News for this Saturday. Kate Snow will be here tomorrow night.
He ran in front of me. Shot him once though.
Thanks for watching.
There's someone down to the left too. I can hear his shots. He's running to the right smoke. Oh, he-
Got me when I was trying to...
Donald Trump and his MAGA allies in the House are trying to sabotage a bipartisan immigration compromise they themselves insisted on so that Trump can use the border as a campaign issue against Joe Biden. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Whenever election season rolls around, you can count on Republicans and right-wing media to start fear-mongering about it.
Hello.
Hello.
Bunny.
What?
I'm a bunny. green mark.
Ow. Where we going? Train station.
No.
Dinoland. Dinoland. Dinoland chạy. Hiểu ai nè, hai cái hùng nè. Thịnh. Để kịp rồi, lỡ súng rồi.
Ê, chấm ở đâu? Nhìn qua đây, anh đang bay đâu?
Chấm ở kìa, đâu. Chấm màu vàng kìa.
Turn around, turn around, turn around. Turn around, green. Turn around. There's 4 people right there.
If we all go there, we also have 4.
There's one guy right here. Hey, I'm down.
Mark them.
Hey, get on it. Hey. A guy's pushing over from me. I'm safe. Ngay đó con thằng á Thịnh. Con thằng đang chạy qua từ chỗ đó.
Hello, right next to you. Number 4, number 4.
I can't hear him.
Oh shit. Xong Thịnh ngó chơi luôn. Safe blue. Come on, bro.
They're watching me. Watch, once I try to save blue, I'm gonna get shot.
Nice. He's low. He's really low.
I'll cover you.
He's coming. He's coming.
He went outside.
I need a gun and ammo. Shit. What the fuck? Where you shoot me at? Where? Thôi ra luôn Thịnh ơi.
Hả?
Thôi, ra luôn em.
Tao từ mày tao còn sống nè.
Ủa sao còn sống vậy?
Tao có comeback arena store in.
Ok. Đụng mấy đâu cái bo nhỏ xíu vậy? Trời, lòng lên gì mà sống?
A toast to peace between New York and Chicago.
New York City won today. It's no contest which city takes the cake when it comes to, well, just about everything else.
Deep dish pizza is quite good.
Hey, what's up, team?
Yeah, we have a team.
Right? It's not just duos and squad.
Let me explain something. Deep dish pizza is not only not better than New York pizza, it's not pizza. It's a casserole. I'm surprised you haven't thought to complete your deep dish pizza by putting some canned onion rings on top of it. It's a cornbread biscuit which you've melted cheese on, and then, in defiance of God and all things holy, you poured uncooked marinara sauce atop the cheese. Atop. The cheese atop the sauce, naked, cold, on display like some sort of sauce.
Let's go.
Everyone's still on the plane.
Postman, you got a guy flying right next to you. Now I have two above me. It's like 2 teams total.
They're landing short, so maybe I should land like
Seriously, who you kidding? Who uses an iron skillet to make a pizza? You don't use an iron skillet to make a pizza. You use an iron skillet.
Yeah, I'm going for orange mark.
Let's go. Let's go.
pull up.
Here's how I know I'm right.
Let's go.
You call it deep dish pizza.
One's grabbed the vehicle.
Here we go.
You know what we call this? You know what we call this? Pizza. Oh, that's not. And by the way, you don't put tomatoes and celery salt on hot dogs either. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows there's 3 exceptions: mustard, onions, and stagnant cart water. That's it. A little while back on the program, I personally, I may have mentioned.
Knocked one on yellow. One right here, near blue.
It tended to be less pizza-ish than pizza.
He's gonna try and pick up his knocked friend, I think.
Inarticulate. That deep dish.
Oh, what the fuck is shot you instead?
That had been baked for 2 hours inside of Mike Ditka's ass. So I said that on my program, and apparently Chicago.
You good, Blue?
Don't seem to have anyone shooting at me, but there's definitely someone out to the, like, 265 west. Oh, yep, I see him. They're over there. Two of them.
They're both tagged. One behind the blue thing.
Oh, that's a good nade. I might go down to this. Yeah. It's a perfect nade.
Yeah, that happens.
He's hurt. One's on me.
Oh, he was browning.
Yeah.
Stewart fired off a tirade. It continued like that for a while in that cheesy New York accent.
Cheesy New York accent? Who the do you think?
Sailors aboard the Norfolk-based USS Dwight D. Eisenhower strike group responding to threats in the Middle East. FA-18 fighter jets from the aircraft carrier struck several Houthi targets alongside Tomahawk missiles fired from the Navy destroyer USS Gravely. Now, these strikes in response to the drone attack that killed 3 U.S. troops in Jordan in late January. ABC's Chuck Severson has the details.
Officials confirming that U.S. and British forces, supported by 6 other countries, have unleashed a new large-scale attack on at least 3 dozen Houthi targets in Yemen. American F-18 fighter jets, Eisenhower aircraft carrier,
Yes, man.
along with Tomahawk cruise missiles launched.
Yo, Elmo can't take 2 sabbatical in 1 year now.
Yo, I don't know what going. And sometimes I ask him, but him not straightforward. So I don't know. I don't know if it's wifey, you know.
It sound like a woman thing.
Yeah, like, you know, or evening time. I understand still. I'm fortunate that Tracy play, but if she never played, I could understand how that would be an issue.
Yep.
According to Austin, the strikes targeted the Houthis' deeply buried weapons storage facilities, missile and air defense systems, and radars. A senior
Our brother.
Females on PUBG.
unrelated to the action the U.S. took on Friday in response to the January 28th drone attack.
I bet you.
Killed 3 U.S. service members at Tower 22 outpost in Jordan.
Why, Jess, we don't know how you pull it off, you know.
Hey.
And I grew up, I want to be just like you.
Oh man, I forget her. Bring her across. Remember, you know,
We will not hesitate to defend our people and hold
she used to
responsible
play
all those who
COD.
harm America. This process began tonight, it's not going to end.
President Biden has repeatedly said he does not seek direct conflict with Iran. Iran's foreign ministry saying the American barrage is a threat to regional and international peace and security.
Oh, it's not good.
ABC News, New York.
Hold on the bullet.
Explosions in Iraq and Syria overnight. Today, the U.S. assessing the aftermath of Friday night's operation involving its
Somebody near such a man.
125 precision munitions, while local reports
Give me that 7.6. Where is it?
40 were killed. Targets on the Syrian
What?
border. Strongholds of Iranian-backed
You took up the 7.6?
Yeah, I have it in my gun. The,
Millicle? Like 10 or something?
I drop a whole clip.
Alright, good.
I want to get a Panzer kill. Oh, it's so cool.
Hitting, the Pentagon says, munitions, drone facilities, and Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. There were no strikes inside Iran, but America's unmistakable message directed squarely at the Iranian leadership. Iran condemning the strikes, but notably not bowing to respond. Baghdad's government, with links to the US and Iran, furiously saying it was not warned. US officials insisting it was. Iran's deepening influence here, evident when tonight we reached a...
Shit, they push from gas. They're over here. On me. Jim.
No!
Invasion of sovereignty, but Iran's involvement isn't.
What's in here, Jim?
Today, the USA has
Come up.
fought with Iraq against ISIS. The US fought ISIS too. Thank you for your help, he says. It's time to go.
Fuck.
Wow, just one, two.
Dual challenges together.
And Kier joins us from Erbil. Kier, how much damage was done in this first retaliatory strike?
Well, we are waiting for that assessment from the Pentagon, Jose, but tonight there are those criticizing the US decision to signal that these strikes were coming, saying potentially it allowed Iranian operatives to get out of harm's way. Tonight we are told by officials that are on the way. Jose?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Tractors barricade
Blockading highways, manure dumped at government buildings, tires on fire from France to Brussels to Greece to Portugal. Farmers erupting in protest across the continent.
I like that movie. It's good.
Into a movie, even though the book is not very good, and people are freaking out because they think Taylor Swift wrote it. But it turns out the real answer is even weirder. Hi, I'm D'Angelo, and at this point, introducing myself would be like introducing the sun. We already know I'm hot and everything revolves around me. Anyway, I'm glad you're here because today we have ourselves a murder mystery. Actually, no one was murdered, but something equally tragic happened. I had to read an entire book for this video. A book. It was like text with no character limit. Forget murder, I almost died of boredom because this book sucks. So how then did it get turned into a $200 million movie before the book was even released? And despite having all kinds of big names attached, from Dua Lipa to Henry Cavill, why was the marketing and rollout of said movie an absolute mess? The movie's not out yet, but early reviews are, and let's just say the critics didn't seem to enjoy the film version of Argyle any more than I enjoyed the book. And speaking of reviews, you might even get a little bonus at the end of this video, because right after I finish recording this, Argyle officially releases in theaters. It should be out by the time you're watching this, so I may be able to pop in from the future and give my own mini review. And who knows, maybe the critics were wrong. Hi, it's me popping in from the future. Please save me, the critics were not wrong. The book is a bust, the film is a flop, it's like a cinematic universe of sadness. But at the center of said universe, there really is a mystery. Who actually wrote Argyle? And why do people think it's Taylor Swift? Or why do Swifties think it's Taylor Swift? I have strong opinions about Swifties, but we'll get to those later. Anyway, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and I'm going to go over all of it. But first, let's take a quick look at today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Air Up. Now, stop me if this is too much of a hot take, but I think water is really good for you. Problematic, I know. Apology video.
edicts. Those are edicts. Proceedings.
I don't know yet. I'm just popping. Just a Hail Mary.
Alright, where they dropped? I don't see them.
Okay, boy.
Enemy vehicle, green mark.
Oh, they got out.
Yep. Somewhere there. Don't rush alone. Where did it go?
Oh, right behind our enemies. Just standing out there.
You good? Nope.
Coming.
Same as. You're the G. You're the G.
Footsteps.
That's me. That's me.
Thanks, homie.
Run.
Fuck. No way. Yeah, fuck that guy. I got a transmitter, but I think you got 30 seconds.
It's the game show everyone's talking about. It's Why'd You Say It? With your host, Danny Donovan.
Hey there, welcome to Why'd You Say It? Tonight's contestants are Danny.
Hey there.
Tyler.
What's up, world?
And Annie.
Hi, Danny. Not sure what this game is, but I'm excited to play.
Well, the game is easy. We show you a comment you left on Instagram and ask you the simple question, why'd you say it?
Oh, no thank you.
As usual, one contestant has left immediately. Let's bring in our backup contestant, Jenny.
Excited to play. What's this game?
You'll find out. All right, Annie, let's start with you.
Do I have to?
Yes. Okay, Drew Barrymore previously and famously posted this video on her Instagram.
Whenever you can go out into the rain, do not miss the opportunity.
Just a sweet woman enjoying the rain. And you commented, die. So, why'd you say it?
I meant die. Like, I'm dying. I love this beat so much. I meant slay, but I forgot the word. I saw someone being happy and wanted them to do the exact opposite.
That's close, but it's not the full answer.
I'm alone a lot. Some days I listen to a human being and I start wondering, am I dead? Is life even real? So I post comments that I think will get a response from someone because that's the only way to be certain I am alive.
That is correct.
I really didn't understand what this was when I signed up for it.
Then don't sign up for stuff. All right, next up is Tyler.
I'd like to go home, please.
Can't go home. Recently, AOC posted a picture with the caption, "Every American should be guaranteed health care." You commented, "Pop for Congress, but at a party, mid." Still smashed, though. So the question is, why'd you say it?
I got hacked. Instagram got hacked. My ass typed it on a bumpy bus. I guess I thought she'd see my comment and she'd comment back and we'd get into a fight where it gets really heated, you know? First she slaps me, then she kisses me, and before you know it, we're having sex.
And your wife is here in the audience today.
No, she's not.
You can try to manifest all you want, but it doesn't change the reality that she is here.
You told me you don't have an Instagram.
You're not real and none of this is happening to me.
Wow, sad. Moving on. Jenny, CNN posted a news story of a New York factory exploding. You commented, "So awful. Moved me to write this song," with a non-working link to a song titled, "The Jaeger Made Me Do It." So the question is, why'd you say it?
I thought it would help people cope with the tragedy. I thought it would provide closure. My song has an important message.
Let me play a snippet.
Wasn't gonna do it, but the Jaeger made me do it.
Why'd you say it?
I'm 3 days from having to move back to Ohio because I spent all of my money recording the Jaeger made me do it, and it has 279 views on YouTube, and the only comment is, would smash.
You're welcome, by the way.
Okay, we get it. It's wrong to leave mean comments, just for clout, or run your mouth on a podcast and you don't consider the impact because you're 24 and stupid. But we're thoughtful about what we post online.
Aw, that's sweet, is what I would have said if 2 minutes ago you didn't post this comment on my personal Instagram. Under this photo of me and my 3-year-old son, you wrote what disease he have. went cool under a movie trailer when you could have just smiled to yourself?
Our top story today, it is almost Valentine's Day. When Harry met Sally, made in Manhattan. So many iconic rom-coms were set here in New York City, and today I'm gonna hear real New York couples meet cute stories to see if they're as good as the movie. So let's meet some lovebirds. Okay. Oh, hello. Are you guys together?
Oh, us? Yeah, 2 years.
Oh, great. Well, I'm with Good Morning New York. Wondering, how did you two meet? What was your meet cute story?
Oh, like the for real story?
Yeah. Spill the tea.
Other people, and we were cheating on them with each other.
And then I got pregnant.
Yeah, and I am rich, so now this is our family.
Okay, wow, good for you. Thank you so much. Moving on. Hello there. Hi, are you two a couple?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, tell me, how was your romance first started? Was it neighbors, Cupid, Tinder?
He was my professor, and my dad had just died.
Wow. Okay, that is beautiful. Oh, hello, you two. Hi. You guys look like you like each other.
I would literally perish without him.
Nobody makes me laugh like this.
He's the best part of my day.
Oh, wow, great. That is cute as hell. So, how did you two start dating?
Oh, we're not dating.
We work together.
We're both in marriages that have died.
Then we text each other all day, every day.
And we do have sex as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Just looking for a normal love story. Great. Hello, how about you two? Are you guys a couple? Oh my god, this is my sister. I'm kidding. She's my girlfriend as well. No. Viewers at home, find his job and tell them. Oh, hello, look at you two. Oh, you guys look very cute and hopefully normal. Are you guys together? Oh, you bet. And we fall more and more in love every single day, which is crazy. When we met, we didn't like each other at all. Okay, I see. Was this one of those rom-com situations where you have to pretend to be each other's wedding dates even though you hate each other? Kinda. Our marriage was arranged by our leader. No, thank you. Okay. I am not leaving until I find someone else. Okay, oh, hello, hi, are you guys Yeah, that's right. Okay. And
Bloody hell! Come on, kill your friend. No friend.
Are you guys together?
Yeah, look, he just bought me this.
Great. And how did you guys meet?
Pass.
Okay, maybe I should just call this off. Hopefully the next pair. Oh, hello, you again. Hi.
Again? Hi there, what's this for?
I'm just interviewing couples, and I just talked to
I
them.
don't think so.
No, you were just
No, my husband and I are just walking by here for this very first time today.
Yes, I agree. So you guys are married?
Oh, happily. We've been through a rough patch, but lately she's had a spring in her step, and I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice to meet you right now, only.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Very happy for you. Well, I guess no one has meet cutes anymore, and love is dead. So sorry to our viewers. Oh.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm just doing a segment on dating. It's not going great.
I mean, dating is so hard nowadays, and you just want something to feel organic.
Wow. Looks like we witnessed a meet cute happen before our eyes.
And that man is my husband. Damn it! I'll be right back.
This is a planet covered with people. Different people. All kinds of people. For thousands of years, all these little people will join other little people to take over other little people. The little people that conquer other little people will all use one thing and one thing only. Bread! Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's laying down a trail of breadcrumbs that leads directly to world domination. Today's food theory has been on my bucket list, my breadbasket list, for a while now. And no, it might not be the most searchable. No, it might not be the trending thing on TikTok, but it's always been trending in one place, my stomach. I'm talking about bread. This episode is an homage to the humble loaf, from baguette to brioche, soda bread to cornbread, sourdough, ciabatta, challah to chapati, or just those unlimited breadsticks over at Olive Garden. I love them all. And while you might think that it's the pillowy texture I like, the science of baking, or some sort of dark lore about the Pillsbury Doughboy, oh no, my friends. My feelings for bread go much deeper. I love bread because bread means one thing: power. There's nothing more powerful in this entire world than the mighty loaf. Who run the world? Bread. You look skeptical. I get it. All you carbophobes out there don't think that you can take over the world using just bread. If you doubt the power of this puffy hot dog holder, that only means one thing, and I'm gonna have to spend the next 18 minutes or so convincing you in the most unhinged way possible that bread is the most powerful substance on the planet. To show you this, I'm gonna have to tell you the entire history of the world, bread. By the time we're done, you'll not only have a new favorite food, but you'll know how to use it to conquer the world. Grab a slice for the road, everyone, because this one is gonna be a trip. Now, if we're talking about bread conquering the world, we're gonna need to get a little handle on the world itself. So for all of you who weren't finalists in the geography bee in high school, congratulations on doing literally anything else. We're just gonna catch you up here. This is the world, and this, right here, that's me, showing you how to conquer the whole thing with carbs. Your next step will be to forget everything that you learned in 12 years of history class or whatever. The only thing that you really need to understand about history is bread. Bread, like all of us, starts from humble beginnings here in Mesopotamia, where it's 30,000 years ago and bread isn't bread yet. It's instead just some random seeds of grain. Here we are, little ancient people, freshly emerging from the primordial ooze, wandering around killing things with sticks and trying to figure out which leaves we can eat. Someone has the weird idea to eat some wheat seeds growing in the wild. They smash them up a little, mix them with some water, and drop them into the fire until they're crispy. Voila! Bread. It's not much to look at. It is a weird, pulpy little cracker, but we love it. Because, let me tell you, it is better than eating bugs and leaves. The record of ruins from this time shows that bread is first found in ceremonial and sacred places, meaning that we thought it was pretty cool. A special awesome little cookie of carbs, and we love these ugly little wheat slabs so much that we're like, hey, what if we stopped wandering around and just waited for more of these wheat seeds to grow? So that's exactly what we did. When you learn history, you think people just stopped being nomadic and then started to develop agriculture, but really, it was the other way around. We were like, hey, bit of bread addiction happening here. This is the best thing since sliced itself, so we're just gonna sit here until more of it grows. And thus civilization was born because people wanted to eat more toast. From there, the popularity of bread, like any great celebrity, goes from fact to legend. For ancient Mesopotamian civilizations, wheat becomes deeply entwined with mythology. The Sumerians developed Nisaba, the goddess of grain and writing. She's a very big deal. Over time, bread hits the road, carried by the people who are still wandering nomads, all the way over to ancient Egypt, where there are some cool new kids in town calling themselves the pharaohs. Turns out the Egyptians have a little annual event that's pretty helpful for growing wheat. They all live next to this enormous river, the Nile, which was full of crocodiles and baby Moseses, and was also very good at doing one thing every year: having a flood. The yearly flooding of the Nile, which is part of the natural water cycle of the region, ends up leaving behind a massive area full of well-watered crops with no hauling of water necessary. No digging fancy irrigation lines that no one's invented yet to grow these crops, at least until bread comes around. Turns out, people are gonna do a lot of things to get themselves more bread, so they invent elaborate irrigation channels, canals, dams that'll be used all over the world for thousands of years, all inspired by everyone's love of growing more bread. The Egyptians are also conducting wild scientific experiments to find more ways to eat bread, kind of like the Alton Browns of the desert, experimenting with grinding up the wheat and actually mixing it with other stuff. Up to this point, most people were just kind of toasting up wheat seeds and packing them together with some water, then scalding the whole thing in a fire to make a flat, crackery little slab. Wheat and water, which they then leave out in the sun, inventing the entire process of yeast fermentation. At this point, we're not monsters, but this is like a whole new frontier for bread. Like the latest TikTok craze, everyone wanted to get their hands on bread that actually rises for exactly the same reasons that we found loud. Upper classes are now lording over the little pig on stage eating barley instead of cool, puffy wheat. Bread is such an essential part of life that it becomes completely the Egyptian gods and all religious practices in bread. The god Osiris, who is not only the Egyptian god of death and rebirth, but also agriculture, has illustrations showing wheat literally coming out of his body to symbolize resurrection. During festivals in ancient Egypt, priests which is bread in the shape of Osiris, who himself was also bread. We're just gonna go with it. Isis, the sister of Osiris, is the goddess of wheat, by proxy beer, and is also known as the divine baker. She's supposedly responsible for how to make bread, really shafting the Sumerians who were doing it 20,000 years earlier. Everyone's plagiarizing these days. But not only is bread making mythology happen, it's making everything happen. Want to build a pyramid using slave labor? Gonna have to feed them. Bread's gonna come in handy for that. Want to raise an army? Just tell them to pack some bread and a spear. They're good to go. Want to trade with the nations around you? Here's something that might not have been seen before. It's bread. Turns out the Egyptians could grow bread well, and a lot of it, to feed a lot of people. Admittedly, not everyone needed the whole yeast rising process. Israelites, for example, are like, you guys are mean. Keep your stupid bread bubbles. We got better things to do. And so they take their matzah and flee Egypt. But the rest of the world is like, put that bread in my face right now. Egypt is incredibly powerful because they have the power of the bread. And this will become the pattern for every other nation who gets and grows a lot of wheat. Just watch, because next, bread does something amazing. It crosses the sea. Well, I mean, the sailors cross the sea. The bread actually lives rent-free on the boats, just like it does in my mind. And now bread is in Greece. As soon as it hits the shores of Greece, bread is the hot item, which you can see reflected again in a huge number of Greek myths and gods that all revolve around the power of bread. The main one is Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, agriculture, and specifically grains. She gives big girl boss vibes. The Greeks are like, let's eat bread with every meal, which sounds like a dream, but it's gonna mean that they need a lot more bread. So much, in fact, that in 600 BC, they invent the first ever closed oven specifically for making bread. Before, people were just cooking everything over open fire pits, which were much less fuel efficient and left less control over the temperature. Using closed ovens, though, the Greeks could suddenly make oodles of bread with less fuel and more consistency, allowing them to feed even more people than the Egyptians could. Just like the Egyptians and their irrigation systems, the oven is basically just there so the Greeks can get more bread. And you know what? It works. In 168 BC, they developed a baker's guild. And before you know it, the bread they make is on its way to Rome and Persia. As people push to the east to get access to the really crazy stuff, like salt, they spread bread to the areas that we now know as Western Asia. It's here that the new bread-making techniques really take off. Wheat is a key part of the Persian Empire, especially when it comes to flatbread. They spread flatbread throughout the Middle East and Central Asia because it's durable, it's easy to transport, and it's a cinch to make even when you're traveling without any sort of special equipment. All you need is a really flat rock and a fire to heat it up. At this point, the only nations in the Mediterranean powerful enough to rival each other are the Greeks and the Persians. So of course, the two of them go to war. Ever heard of Aeneas, Battle of Marathon? Xerxes, who invaded Greece in the year 300? All that happens, and sure, you can learn all the names of the heroes and the battles and all that stuff, but what it really comes down to is bread versus bread, and who has more bread. And the answer is Romans. Rome, in their classic move of stealing everything from the Greeks, quickly adopts bread as the food source for their new empire, and proceed to beat everyone with their awesome new inventions for making more bread. They injected lots of bread references into their own gods, like Ceres is the equivalent of Demeter. And while Romans like the smaller ovens that Greece had come up with, they're like, yeah, but what if we did it bigger? And so they made the first bakery-sized ovens to outfit commercial and government bakeries to supply bread to the masses. And with that, here comes bread's latest play for world domination, politics. See, the Romans don't win over 2/3 of Europe, a big chunk of Asia, or a massive top section of Africa for nothing. They also don't do it by keeping a massive standing army or holding everyone under martial law. That would be impossible. No, the way they do it is with the empire knows that everyone's really into this stuff. So to keep population welfare in the form of Kyora and a grain guild that provides grain or bread to hundreds of citizens. You ever hear about all those great roads which were imported from Egypt, Sicily, and other places across the empire, and then distributed to all the poor of Rome? Guess who's not gonna rebel against you? People getting shipments of food from you. Remember, bread is the most efficient, portable, and tasty form of nutrition the world has ever seen. All the cool kids have it because that everyone else wants to be a part of the in crowd and get in on it. Populations who receive bread from the empire grow from about 40,000 to about 200,000. And guess what? They stay loyal. Rome's play to win over the world with bread is best known by the phrase panem et circumcision, a phrase still used to this very day because there are two the lowly masses placated. You give them bread and you keep them entertained. Why? Because bread wins, and when the bread runs out, so does the bread. Back in old Rome, the systems for doling out bread to the masses become incredibly popular, as you would expect. But in the later years of the Roman Empire, their strategy starts to backfire because people simply stop working and instead wait for the emperor to just give them their bread. There's a massive decline in productivity, Roman innovation, and of course, no one wants to join the army when you can just sit at home and get free stuff all the time. So Rome's footprint begins to shrink when the bread bureaucracy gets bigger than its army. When the edges of the empire start shrinking because like no one's standing out there to defend it, the bread imports stop flowing, the bread dole stop doling, and the Roman Empire comes to a standstill to make way for newer, breadier competitors. From here through about the 1400s, things split a little between East and West, depending on which flavor of Christianity you pick. There were only two flavors, which put you either landing in the Byzantine Empire or the Holy Roman Empire, both of which are ruled by powerful people. By people, I mean powerful bread. For the Byzantine Empire, which is headquartered in Istanbul, way back when it was Constantinople, giants, bread is the most important thing they have. Yeah, sure, they have and spices and whatever else from the Greeks, but to feed 1 million people now living in Constantinople, they need more than anything else. They need bread. The Guild of Bakers in Constantinople are considered to be a protected group at this time, and no one can interfere with the making of bread in any way because everyone knows that once the bread stops getting made, the city shuts down. The great fluffy bread, the peasants continue to eat hard yucky bread, and the monks are usually on a fast. Places like Gaul, where people have adopted it immediately because before they were eating porridge. Christianity is the name of the game here, but like the Romans, Greeks, and Egyptians before them, bread still figures heavily into religion, which figures heavily into governing everyone. Give us this day our daily bread. Jesus is the bread of life. Jesus multiplying loaves of bread and Jesus breaking bread with his disciples are all stories and ideas that figure heavily at this time. Faithfulness to God. Especially since everyone from all corners of Europe are eating about 2 pounds of bread Bread is so important to the Holy Romans and the Byzantines that governments start stepping into control and using methods like price fixing. They set the price of bread low enough to be affordable, which was another bread invention that continues to this very day. But as soon as you lose the bread, you start losing the power. After a couple centuries of bad plagues throughout Byzantium, some neighbors start conquering the lands that produce bread. And you know the story by this point, it's the beginning of the end. Slowly, the Byzantines fall to the Turks, who, surprise, surprise, control the grain areas of Eastern Europe and the Middle East. So you get it, right? We've been through empires now. I think you're starting to get the picture that bread is responsible for the history of the world. But you know what? I can hear your skeptical comments. Yeah, Matt, Pat, but that was then. The world has gone gluten-free at this point. We don't fight with pole arms anymore. Modern people stopped caring about bread long ago, right? Wrong. Throughout the centuries of Gaul, which became what we now know as France, the biggest uprisings and rebellions all centered around a shortage of bread. The Grand Rebellion in Lyon in 1529, poor grain harvests lead to the working peasants having no bread, so thousands of them break into the city's granaries to take back the grain from the government. 1590, there's this are eating 1.5 to 2.5 pounds of bread a day. They become so desperate for bread during the months-long siege, ultimately leads to the king surrendering and France changing religion. The 1760s were totally unregulated grain production leading to extremely high prices on bread, and people start to starve. In 1775, people start rioting for bread. This isn't called the French Revolution at the time, it's called the Flour War, because people are seriously angry without their baguettes. 1789, you think the storming of the Bastille was all about getting weapons? It was about getting bread. Sure, the mobs had their torches and their pitchforks, but you know what they were looking for? The royal store of grain. They were literally starving. Marie Antoinette is painted as a villain when she hears about the flour shortages and famously says, "Qu'il mange de la brioche," which doesn't mean let them eat cake. It actually means let them eat brioche, which is a luxury form of enriched bread, because bread is still considered to be the be-all, end-all of eating. She probably didn't even actually say this, but the power of a statement about bread is the single most famous and inflammatory quote to come out of the entirety of the French Revolution. But maybe it's just France, right? They're a bit nutty for their bread. No, not by a long shot. Time to check in on another famous empire, the British. Sorry, Tom, it's included here as well. The British Empire, famous for taxing early American colonists on tea, actually plagued with another big problem in the years leading up to the American Revolution, bread shortages. Well, not as famous as the Boston Tea Party, in 1775, thousands of poor American colonists protest from Philadelphia to Salem about the shortage shortages of grain and the incredibly high bread prices, most of which are controlled by the British government. In an article by Barbara Clarkson writes, quote, thousands were reported clamoring for bread, and crowds escorted a merchant, a butcher, and a speculator accused of raising prices to the city jail. As it happened in Boston 2 years earlier, crowds assumed the power to identify and punish enemies to the patriot cause. Once again, the enemy of the bread is the enemy of the people. Don't you know it, one little revolution later and things really start taking off for that new country of America. Why is that? Because wheat is produced in almost every state in the entire country. Heck, we have a specific region called the Wheat Belt. We're always singing about our amber waves of grain. You think it's an accident that the U.S. became a global superpower over the last few hundred years? It shouldn't be when you look at how much bread we have. Today, we export almost 50 million tons of wheat every year. Let's just say that policies around producing wheat can get pretty heated, so I'm not going to be going into all that. But to give you an indication, the U.S. government has paid out over $48 billion in wheat subsidies since 1995, all to support wheat production in this country because, once again, say it with me, bread is power. Whew, and with that, we are at the present day. Whew, that took a lot out of me. I hope I've convinced you now that the entire history of the world comes down to bread, and all you have to do is follow who has the bread at any given time. But if you've been watching this channel for a while, you should probably be asking yourself one thing. Why bread? Like, why? Why not any other food items? Sure, bread's delicious. So are baked potatoes. You could grow those pretty easily. So are beans, and no, beans suck. But you can't grow them, so why not something like the legume civilization? That's a question that was on the mind of one particular cultural anthropologist, James C. Scott of Yale University. He wrote an entire book observing that if you wanted to build an early civilization, you needed to have a grain-based economy, because grain was the only way to have an economy in the first place. If you notice something throughout this episode, is that people used bread. Well, sure, they ate bread, but they also traded bread to get everything else they needed. You see, at the end of the day, bread isn't just the food source of all these civilizations, it's also the currency. Sure, they may have had gold coins or fancy little francs or whatever, but that's all bogus. If everyone is starving, bread is power because bread is literally money to eat. And the rulers of all these empires, they know that. Remember, most of these empires relied on giving free bread to people. Grain was the basis of taxation in all these empires because in order to give food to people who don't have it, you need to take it away from the people who do. And why are you taking grain? Well, grain like wheat is special for 3 big reasons. First, it's transportable. You need it if you're gonna have a big empire with a